who do I want to be? And most importantly, how do I want to feel when my head hits the pillow tonight? And
Yes.
having these reminders to check in throughout the day helps us bring back that inner rocket we all feel in the morning or whenever you do it, right? And for some people, if you're not a morning person, write this down when you are when you have that inner rocky, right? For some people, it could be at
Hmm.
night. For some people, it could be after their first cup of coffee, whatever it might be. That's when you should write this down. But it's definitely not a to-do list. It's more of who do I want to be and how do I want to feel when my head hits the pillow tonight?
Hey there, Adam. As always, fantastic to be here with you. And I have something I want to recommend to the folks listening and tuning in today. I'm excited to share it with you. I'm excited to share it with them. And this has come out of a conversation I had with a client about a week or so ago. Care if I just dive in?
Yes, I'm excited to hear it. Let's go. Let's hear it.
Okay, so one of my longtime clients um, did this really brave thing, and he basically took 5 straight days off of his life, right? So he's a busy surgeon. He checked out of work and he checked out of family life, and he took himself to a 5 day intensive for Tai Chi, which he just absolutely adores and he loves, and he's making all this amazing progress. And studied Tai Chi with this really amazing instructor for 5 days straight, right? So
Wow.
I don't know about you, but like in my mind, taking 5 days off of my life to go and do something that's just for me, like, wow,
Inconceivable for me.
wow, right?
Yeah.
Right. And for him in particular, because he definitely comes from like a place of like, he felt and he struggled with a lot of guilt doing that. However, we talked after it was over, and he was like, what's really interesting is I'm just not feeling drawn to food after all of this. My weight is down, I'm feeling healthy, I'm feeling light, and everything's just kind of where it's meant to be now on the other side of this. And I thought, oh, that's really interesting. I said, turns out when you take care of yourself mentally and emotionally and physically, food falls into its natural place in your life. And from this discussion, he agreed. He was like, "Yeah, you're right." I said, "But of course, you can't take 5 days off your life every week to go play Tai Chi."
Right.
Um, I said, it's interesting. We really encourage people to take breaks throughout the day to nourish their physical body, right, with food. Um, but we're not really talking about doing that at regular intervals with our mental and our emotional needs.
Yeah,
Do you see what I'm talking about,
I
Adam?
do. I do. Um, and I think that's really awesome that he did that because I'm sure that wasn't easy to book the time and carve out the time, but it clearly gave him what he needed and wanted, which is awesome.
Yeah, and it really allowed us to see the opportunities that still lie in front of us, right? Like we can make this work.
Yep.
It doesn't have to look like 5 days off of your life every week, every month, to create that kind of space. And so I hatched this idea, which, listen, it's not like a new idea. It's not rocket science. In fact, I've got several of my clients already working on this idea. But
By the way,
let me just share.
just to
Yeah.
that makes it even better because if it's this crazy idea, then it's not very uh, actionable. I think sometimes a lot of people say, "Oh, I know that. That's common sense." Yes, but is it common practice? So don't, what you're about to share, I know is very powerful. The key is implementing it.
Yeah. And here's the truth to those of you who are listening, my clients who are doing this are seeing a lot of success, right? Like, and it does take practice. So here's what it is. First of all, I think we all agree and we understand change is going to happen in life. It's happening every day. The key to getting the life we want is to being intentional about it. So here's what I have my clients doing. Here's what I do for myself. Um, I say in the morning, but say you're not a morning person and you do your best thinking and intention setting at night, that's fine too. Wherever you are, your most inspired self,
Mm-hmm.
set 1 to 3 intentions for the end of the day either that same day or the following day, right? So let me give you an example
Yeah.
before I get too far ahead of myself. So today, this morning, I made some notes here about the intentions I have for my day. And I'm thinking about myself at the end of the day because Adam, I don't know about you, but I feel like I kind of go through like um different versions of myself as my day goes along. Do you feel that way?
No doubt. It is, and there is a term for it. It's called the hot cold empathy gap. Not to get too nerdy here,
Oh, right.
but the hot cold empathy gap is the various states we feel throughout the day, right? So for me, in the morning, I wake up raring to go. I feel like Rocky, right? But 3 hours later, I may feel like a slug. And
Yeah.
you always want to take advantage of the times where you feel like Rocky, where you have that inner Rocky. Um, so yes, what you're feeling is totally natural. I feel it all the time. We all do. We all have this irrational mind versus our rational mind, and we want to protect ourselves from that irrational state as much as possible.
Okay, I like it. I'm going to kind of run with what you just said there. In our Rocky moments,
Yes.
we want Rocky setting these intentions.
Yeah.
Okay, right? Am I right? So this morning, in the mornings, I tend to feel like Rocky, just like you. And so I set for myself three intentions. I had three today. The first was at the end of the day, I want to feel cared for. I'm just going to name my
Yeah. Go
intentions
for it.
first. Number two, at the end of the day, I want to feel relaxed by bedtime. That one's really tricky.
Yep.
And number three, I want to find moments to be grateful. Okay,
Can I butt in for a sec?
please do.
So my first observation is these are all feelings. They're not.
Mm,
This isn't like a task list, right? This is how you want to feel at the end of the day. Is that right?
it is.
Okay.
That is correct. So let's talk about that a little bit. A lot of times when I work with clients, they're like, okay, I'm going to make, let's take something very applicable to the work that we do. I'm going to make my meal plan for the day. All right. So client A says, I'm going to have eggs and a slice of rye toast and some berries for breakfast. Lunch is going to be this beautiful salad I threw together. And dinner is going to be a nice steak with my family, a few roasted potatoes, and a side of steamed broccoli.
Yum.
Cool.
Sign me up.
What's the intention behind that?
Right.
Right? Because guess what? Plans change.
Yep.
And I see it a lot, right? Clients panic. Oh my God, I left my salad at home.
Yep.
Okay, we don't need to panic. What was your intention behind the salad? Well, to eat something that felt nourishing, that I enjoyed, that I don't hate, and that is going to help me feel healthy.
Yep.
Cool. Let's pivot. Let's go out and let's find something that fits that intention. So these intentions should not look like a to-do list nor like a rigid plan. They should feel inspiring. They should feel like you have freedom to achieve them in a lot of different ways. And they should feel like there are some clear actions you can take to achieve them as well. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense. I love it. You know, what this reminds me of is this is kind of analogous. I always, I'll talk with clients. They come back from vacation. They feel amazing, right? I feel so inspired. I feel rejuvenated. And of course, you can't be on vacation every day, all day long for your life, right? It's called vacation for a reason. But the question I always ask is, what did you do on vacation that you can bring to your everyday life, right? And it's often such simple things. It's like, yeah, I was reading for 20 minutes during the day, or I was reading for a little more, or I would take a longer shower than usual, or I would go for a walk. Like, you don't need to be on vacation to do those things. And I love what you're doing here is you're taking this guy who created an amazing opportunity for himself to go study Tai Chi for 5 days, which is amazing, but that's not all that practical and realistic to do all the time. So it's like, all right, how can we take that and bring that to our everyday life?
Right. Right. So, and even for something like him. So here's the other thing, we've talked in the past about tethering.
Yeah.
In particular, with it being some little routine you do in the morning to tether to yourself. Well, I made a note here. This intention setting is really about tethering to who you envision being by the end of the day, the life you want to create,
Yeah.
right? So we're putting a lot of grounding and anchoring stuff here at the start of our day. And with him, I even recommended do a few of the Tai Chi moves.
Yeah.
As your intention setting. capture that inspiration from those 5 days, capture that mental topping up, that emotional topping up that you were able to achieve during that time. So, okay, did I explain that piece of this clearly enough?
Yes, and just to be clear, it's not a to-do list. It seems
No.
it's more of a who do I want to be, and most importantly, how do I want to feel when my head hits the pillow tonight? And
Yes.
having these reminders to check in throughout the day helps us bring back that inner rocket we all feel in the morning or whenever you do it, right? And for some people, if you're not a morning person, write this down when you are that inner, when you have that inner Rocky, right? For some people, it could be at
Mm-hmm.
night. For some people, it could be after their first cup of coffee, whatever it might be. That's when you should write this down. But it's definitely not a to-do list. It's more of who do I want to be and how do I want to feel when my head hits the pillow tonight, right? And then ultimately, what
Yes.
actions do I need to take to get to there? But what I also think is so important is it builds in this adaptability, right? So if you have just a meal plan, which could be certainly helpful, but what happens if someone invites you to lunch or you have a business dinner, or whatever it might be, then you can't just throw the whole plan out the window. You can still be who you want to be and still feel how you want to feel. So it builds in that adaptability, which is so crucial to consistency.
Yes. Now, you mentioned the second part of this practice, which is, I would venture to say, almost equally as important as the first. Um, and we talked about earlier how we both agree there's something that happens to us, that hot cold gap turns us into various versions of ourselves throughout the day.
Yep.
So the other super important thing about this practice, now I have my clients actually handwriting this stuff down. Okay. We don't have to get into all the details of that, but I come from that age and time, and I know many of you out there listening do as well. Like, there is something to paper and pen
100%. It
and
seeps
using
into your
words.
conscious and subconscious. There's no question about it.
It does. It makes it real
Yes.
in a way that, like, typing it out on a computer and definitely on a phone just don't they it feels like I could just delete that. Right? Like, so I would highly recommend, like, I don't care if it's a stack of post-it notes, a dot journal, the back of your kid's kindergarten homework for the 475th time. What am I supposed to do with
Yep.
this? Right? Like, I don't care what it is, write it down. The key, the other half of the equation that makes this work, you must check in with it at least one other time in the day. You have to go back and remember what Rocky wrote down. And the only way to do that is to go back and read what you wrote. You have to. Just how we would encourage our clients to have, at least 2, if not more, meals a day. There's a lot of opinion out there. I truly believe we have to kind of give our brains, our minds, not the brain, the mind, the emotions, this
Yeah.
reminder of our Rocky moment. Like, if you write it down and then you never revisit it, it's kind of a crap shot. You're going to get to where you want to get to at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And it's working, Adam. Like, my clients who not only write it down, but revisit it at least once, if not 2 or 3 more times in the day, man, they are capturing who they want to be at the end of the day.
I love that. I think the key thing is checking in with it and looking at it and rereading it. Um, and as hokey or as cheesy as you might feel, there is no doubt that is so effective, and it's effective because you see how beneficial it is for your clients. But it tames our short-term irrational mind. And
Mm-hmm.
again, it's always going to look for distractions. It's always going to look to kind of veer off on its own and say, you know what? Forget tomorrow. All I care about is right now, right? That's our
Yeah.
short-term irrational mind talking. But when you have this, these visions of what you want to be and how you want to feel, and you check in with that, it makes it a lot easier to skip those in the moment temptations, right? It helps us skip
Yeah.
what we think we want in the moment for what we really want long term.
Yes. Yeah. And I would recommend doing it at sort of transitional periods of the day, right? Like, for a lot of us, the afternoon into the evening is a tricky time, whether we're getting off of work or going to get kids or whatever. I mean, that's just also, I think, biologically, it's a tricky time for a lot of us.
Yeah.
So that's a great period of time. Right before dinner is another one. I check in at lunch as well, right? Like, most of us probably work through our lunch hour. Take 2 minutes, read your Rocky Notes,
I love it.
right? It doesn't, that's the other thing. This is not costing you anything at all. It costs you nothing. The world can wait for 1 minute while you review what you imagined for yourself.
Yeah. Maybe I'm dating myself here, but I know we grew up on index cards, right? And to me, index cards are the best. I use index cards every day. I write down what I want to accomplish, and it's in my pocket all day long. So, like, when I look at it and I review it and I look at it at the end of the night, it does not feel good if I didn't get what I wanted to get done. So, what I'm going to do is flip it over, have my intentions for the day, and I'm going to start doing this because I think it's such a powerful practice. And again, the key is to writing it down and reviewing it.
Yes, the reviewing part is super crucial. I think a lot of people are really good at taking that action on writing down intentions. The hard part is when the day gets busy,
Right.
you forget to top up. You have to top up because the day, life, it's all draining the mind and the emotions.
Yep.
It is pulling on them, it is draining them. If you don't top them up, guess what's going to slide in as an easy fix?
Yep.
Right?
Right.
Distractions, social media, all that kind of food, all the things which, listen, I mean, they all have their place.
Yes.
But I just think if we can build intentional days, we're going to see a lot more of what we want in the long run.
No doubt. No question about it. I think it's so important as we enter or not enter, as we navigate this comfort crisis, right? And I think a perfect time to also review these notes is when you have that temptation to pull out your phone. And there's nothing wrong with pulling out your phone, but you can also give yourself some, a little shot of rejuvenation and look at those notes first before maybe you pull out your phone.
Absolutely. But the Post-it note thing, that's helping a lot of people too. A lot of my clients, and I love getting pictures of them. My clients will send me pictures
Yes.
of the Post-it notes they put up in different places. I'm like, yes,
Totally.
This is how we do it.
Yep.
All right. So anything else we need to highlight?
No. Well, I guess yes. This is one of those things that I think is very easy to nod along, to say, yeah, that sounds good. But it's another to actually do it and test drive it and see how it impacts you. And once you do that, it's one of those things that really is transformative. And I would highly encourage you to try it at the very least. Think about who you want to be, how you want to feel, and it naturally brings these actions that are required. But again, this is not a to-do list. And try it and see how it makes you feel. And again, make sure to check in every now and then with it as well. We're going to call it this
throughout the day.
Here on out, they're going to be called the Rocky Notes.
I love it. Rocky Notes. Write them. You got to write them on paper with a pen or a crayon. I accept crayons. All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. We'd love to hear how this goes for you, right? If you implement it, if you practice setting your intentions and you check in with your Rocky Note 1, 2, or 3 other times throughout the day and you see changes, share it with us. Email Adam. Let us know how it goes for you. We always love hearing from you. And until then, take good care and we'll see you next time.
And by the way, bonus points if you send me a picture of your Rocky Notes.
Oh, heck yeah. Heck yeah. Take care, guys.